I am not a religious person at all, but I consider myself spiritual to an extent. And all the things that I learned, everything I've learned, I think I've learned from the Bible somewhere or the other. But the things I learned are not the regular things you will hear in church. So one day I was reading about this little guy called Zacchaeus. By the way, some people like to refer to me as Zacchaeus, but I'm not that short. So I was reading about him, and something struck me about his life. Now, there's something that Zacchaeus understood from when he was born, from when he was a child. He understood the power of positioning. If you were to watch a football game, like most of you will or do, it's about positions. Your position determines how well you play, or when you score. That's what it's all about, really. Besides skill, there's position. You can have all the skill in the world, but if you're not positioned aright, it's very likely that which you are looking for might not come to you. Psalms 1 said that I am like the tree that's planted by the rivers of water. Why is the tree planted by the rivers of water? And what is the consequence of its planting? The consequences are, or the results are, that it will bear fruit in all seasons. Its leaves will not wither. Why? Because it is positioned in a place where nutrient is maximized. Now, the funny thing about Zacchaeus is he climbed into a tree to see the master. What he understood was his nature didn't allow him a position of advantage, so he strove to acquire one. I have this funny thought that it's very likely that when Zacchaeus was climbing into the tree, he had to ask some young boys to push him up, and maybe even pay some money for that. Now, you see, when I was reading Zacchaeus, this is what I realized, that he's a little guy, so he basically wasn't very strong, so he was not very, very good at housework, at chores. He couldn't really deliver with that. But there's one thing he knew how to do. He understood how to count. He was always dreaming of counting, dreaming of money, of keeping money. As a little boy, he would help his mother sell the wares that he got from the farm. He was not a good farm boy. His other brothers were, but he was just this little boy who would just go and be counting 1 corn, 2 corn, 1 with flour. That's what he did in the farm, and his father was livid with him. What is wrong with this child? But when they went to the market with the mother, he always came back home with a better profit. And she began to understand that this young man had something else other than what we have. One day the tax collector came visiting. No one liked the tax collector. So he came visiting, and he was going from house to house, and Zacchaeus was the only kid excited, and he began to tail this man. And every time this tax collector will come, Zacchaeus will follow. And soon enough, Zacchaeus began to say, let me take you back. Let me hold your money back for you. And the tax said, shoot, go. You want to steal my money, you little urchin. But finally, because of his persistence, the tax collector allows Zacchaeus to hold the bag. And then Zacchaeus will help him do some work. And that went on for years until Zacchaeus began to become the man's assistant. One day, the tax collector was old and sick, and he couldn't go around. And Zacchaeus volunteered to do that for him. And when Zacchaeus returned, the man realized that Zacchaeus had gotten more money, more tax money than he could get. So when the man was retiring, he handed over his portfolio to Zacchaeus. And Zacchaeus began to become a better tax collector. But Zacchaeus was a good person. This is what he did. When he came to you, when he took your tax, he knew when he was supposed to deliver to the Romans, to their masters. But he would take out of that money and do some business. He would give a loan here and say, I'm giving you this loan, 5 talents. When I come back next month, I'm taking 7 talents. If you don't have 7 talents, I am taking your donkey. Now, it was a simple contract. What Zacchaeus felt he was doing was he was fostering love. Zacchaeus had a need to be loved, and he wanted people to love him. And he felt the only way to make people love him was to be good to them. But good also had to do with honest, and good also has to do with being principled. So the principle was, if I give you a loan, you're supposed to return at social time, and most of these people failed. And Zacchaeus will not fail to collect your donkey or your sheep. He will take it because it's a contract. And as a good, honorable man, he honored every contract he signed. honored every contract he signed. And then people began to hate him because they felt, he's wicked. He gives us money and he takes everything from us. But he felt he was doing good. Now, what Zacchaeus was seeking most for in his life was love. And this particular day, love was coming to Jericho. And Zacchaeus said, see, I've been seeking for love from all of these people and haven't gotten it. But today, love is coming here. Love is coming to my town. So he donned his best attire. He was a wealthy man, by the way. He had so much money, so he put on something really great. And when he came to the street where a million thronged to welcome Jesus, and Zacchaeus could not see because he was small in stature. And the wisdom he had from a child kicked in. He said, what am I going to do? What have I always done to get what I desire or what I want? It's always been find for yourself a position of advantage, and he found a tree. Now, this is what I realized. When he got into the tree, they were laughing. But you see, it's the derision, the laughter of your detractors will turn the spotlight on you. So when your detractors are laughing at you, when they're deriding you, it's good for you actually, because what it means is attention is shifting to you. Now, the master came to Jericho possibly to hold a really large crusade. But instead, he spent his afternoon in the house of one man. Jesus put aside the needs of 1 million people, or 1,000 people, or 10,000 people, doesn't matter, to tend to one person. When he saw him on the tree, he said, hurry, come down, for today I am going to your house. What Jesus saw was someone that was equal to him. He saw a financial master. He was a spiritual master because Jesus also needed to be ministered to. He wanted people that were just like him and said, let's go to your house, man. Let's go and talk, man. These people can wait. So they went and they began to talk. But the crowd thronged after. They came after and they were hanging all around and throwing expletives, saying, he's a thief. He's a this. What are you doing with him? And Jesus asked him, dude, man, these things they're saying about you, what you have to say for yourself? And Zacchaeus said something that really, really impressed me. He said, Master, behold, I give half of everything that I make to the poor. Then he said, these people saying that I stole from them, if any one of them can prove that I did steal from him, I will give him 4 times what I stole. Now, this Zacchaeus it will not be possible for him to tell a lie to God. He will not be able to tell a lie to God. But it's always been misunderstood. But this is not theological or it's not a spiritual thing I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with the power of positioning. And I'm saying that his success came because he understood that you must accord yourself a position of advantage. Some years ago, this is Nigeria, I was reading the newspaper and I heard that some young person about my age, got a contract worth 1 billion naira. And I just started thinking about it, 1 billion naira. And I said, I'm looking for 100,000 naira contract and I'm not getting. And then it hit me. Why did he get it? How did he get it? Because he was positioned advantageously. He didn't have 2 heads. He wasn't smarter. He was definitely, I was sure he's not smarter than me. But he had a position of advantage. Mohammed Babangida, by virtue of his position as the son of Ibrahim Babangida, will see Ibrahim Babangida on a daily and will have access to Ibrahim Babangida's money. It's about positioning. Where are you located? Are you positioned by the river of life? Are you located by the bank? Where are you positioned? What is it that you're looking for? You need to move yourself from where you are to where it is found. You can't stay in the bush and expect to get concrete, for instance. What you want is in a location. You need to take yourself from where you are and relocate. Move towards what it is you want. Accord yourself a position of advantage. This is the power of positioning.